Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Rookie Division with various wins for the Waterfield Suns and the Michigan Lynx tournament here in Golf Clash the game. Before we take a closer look at all of the videos, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, also subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. Do what more than 2,000 players has done for April. Sign up to any of our tour or tournament guide packages on patreon.com/golfclashtommy. You do have the link in the description down below, or you can scan the QR code here on the screen and you will get go directly to our packages. Follow the info box on the right hand side for the club distance adjustment, elevation adjustment, also a ball and club type I suggest you to play with. Have in mind that those are all suggestions and you don't have to follow it if you don't want to, but there's always a plan behind it. So let's go to hole number 1. For hole number 1 of the Waterfield Sands, we're gonna play with the driver that gives us the most power possible, and this is going to be the extra mile. I'm playing with a katana ball and I position myself to be at the very max line. If you do have a headwind, I do recommend to play with a power 3 ball in a tailwind, and a crosswind. A power 2 ball is just enough. A maximum distance with a 15% over adjustment, and I'm using the 4.5 bar topspin to get the ball as far down the fairway possible. Overpower will vary depending on what wind direction you do have off tee. Ball get down nicely on the fairway, and now we are focused and positioned for the second shot. So the second shot here, we're playing with our wood club, and here you can see I'm playing with the big dog, which is honestly not as smart. So the big dog, as you see in the info box, I'm actually gonna do this one live, and I'm gonna change this one to play with a sniper. And the reason the sniper would be better here is due to its ball guideline, because then we can attack the pin in a much better way. The big dog obviously gives you power, and it allows you to never struggle with that, and you can get yourself safely up there for a birdie. But on a par 4, we always want to have the best possible chance for a drop, and then the sniper is going to be massively better. This is one of the weirder par 4s, in the sense of, even if it looks like we're playing uphill, this is actually playing with a lot of elevation. So I recommend to play plus 20 and true club distance. So whatever position you are between minimum and maximum distance is what you're gonna use with a 20% over adjustment. Hole number 1 this was. On hole number 2, we are going to go for a rough bump. The reason we're going for the rough bump is because that is the best and most consistent way to attack the pin. When we're playing from the front tee, we are in an angle that might not be as perfect as it would be from the second and third tee. Because from the second and third tee, we're using the back end of the green to roll up and then to fall back down. But here, from front tee, we're actually attacking the pin directly. In a headwind or a direct crosswind, playing with a sniper from very close to midline, and then from in tailwinds, we're playing with a long iron, preferably the Goliath, even though it would be in lower level on many of your accounts. Then we play with the Goliath just because we do then have the 145 yards power, so we can reach up to a favorable spot at the end of the rough line there. Now, bouncing into the rough using minimum distance with a 30% elevation, using whatever backspin that is needed to get the ball guideline to hold, and the 2 right spin to remove myself as much as I can from the rough line on the right. Hole number 2, it's a tricky par 3, which all of the par 3s of the Waterfield Sands are, but this is definitely the one that I do believe we will see the most hole-in-ones on. For hole number 3, this is going to be a very difficult par 5 to do anything else than an eagle on. Or let's say like this, it's difficult to get an albatross. Getting a birdie is going to be very easy, I must say, because this is a long par 5, and as you can see here now, there isn't really much for us to do. We are going to try to be as far up on this first fairway, or we're going to try to use a lot of topspin and bounce over the rough and the sand there in the distance and get over to the final part of a fairway. If we do get to the final part of the fairway, then that's going to obviously be a major advantage in terms of getting to the green and lock in the eagle, because once again this is an eagle only par 5, even if you would be having a straight tailwind off tee. Maximum distance with a 10% over adjustment, and you can see that I'm playing this one in a controlled way over to the end of the fairway island. You can see as well that in the info box on the right hand side I do suggest a berserker ball. That's a power 5 ball, and the reason I do suggest that is due to the second shot, to make that one easier. Sure, you can play with a Titan ball, a power 3 ball, and you can somewhat bounce over the rough and the sand like this, and also using some curl to the left to get close to green. However though, if you do have a power 5 ball, it will give you the possibility, especially in tailwind, to actually carry directly over the rough and the sand directly, and you do not have to mess around with by doing a technical shot like we're doing here now. But once again, if you do not have a berserker ball, then fine, then you are gonna do what I'm doing in the video, but at least I wanted to explain why I'm adding the berserker ball in the info box instead of leaving it out and just going with a Titan ball. When you do play with a Titan ball or any other ball that doesn't allow you to carry over, as already said, then we're going to have a wedge to pin, and this wedge is not going to be a gimme. It's still going to be a tough one. I do recommend that if you do play EB School version, it should be playing plus 20% elevation with whatever power ball you're using, so in this case a power 3 ball. But once again, a wedge from distance, especially with wedges with a very poor ball guideline, is going to be very difficult to be accurate with. We will have a chance though, and with a perfect ball in this instance, it's going to be giving us a good chance to lock in the eagle, because once again this is going to be eagle only. There will be like an insane amount of birdies compared to albatrosses here. I don't think I saw any albatross, I don't think I've seen an albatross in this hole more than maybe 1 or 2 times, and that has come from tour play. So hole number 3, very difficult. The eagle should be your focus. There isn't many par 3s that I do believe plays harder from the front tee than what it does from the second and the third tee, but hole number 4 of the Waterfield Sands is one of them in my opinion. And the reason for that is that when you do have lower level clubs, you can obviously, you can do this with higher level clubs as well, but you're deciding to go either above the bunkers and attack the pin like I'm doing here in the video, or you bounce before the bunkers. The problem with bouncing before the bunkers with lower level clubs is that you don't really have any ball guideline to follow, and you also have that downslope, which is causing a glitch roll many of the times with a long iron. And if you're going to avoid that downslope, you need to have a lot of topspin, and then you come in too hot. So my suggestion here is to use the Guardian and all its backspin and attack the pin like I'm doing once again, like in the video. I need to aim a little bit further back when I do have the backspin I have here on a low level Guardian, but for those of you that do have the max backspin, which you do have with the Guardian in a fairly intermediate level, and obviously all in the high levels as well, then the max backspin there will definitely be a perfect way of attacking the pin with a decent chance for success of the hole-in-one. Take your game to the next level with our Ultimate Tournament Text Guides for Pro, Expert and Master Division Michigan Links Tournament. We are adapting for the wind changes throughout the week. We do have the most solid platform for you to improve your game as a player. So scan the QR code here on the screen, or you use the link patreon.com/golfclashtommy that is in the description down below. That will take you to the page where you find all our packages, and you can see that we do offer tour guides and also tournament guides for 18-hole tournaments and 9-hole cups. So make sure to sign up and start do what more than 2,000 players has done already in April to improve your Golf Clash game. For hole number 5, I will show you an aggressive route here, because if we're not going aggressive, there is, I would say, no chance at all to have a shot for an albatross. I will explain how to play conservative at the end of the video here. So I'm gonna use all but one topspin bar with the big topper. Have in mind that you can play with other other club levels than just level 4, because it's the topspin that we're looking for, not really the power. Adjustment is max plus 20, and I'm aiming with the second bounce just above the rough line. If I would be having tailwind, I would be aiming a little bit lower into the rough to give myself room in terms of the extended ball guideline. In a crosswind, I would aim so I do have approximately half a range of distance from the rough to the fairway line. The goal is to bounce on the fairway into the rough and then stay on the fairway island. Once again, this is an aggressive drive which requires a lot of focus. But if you're getting there, then you can either with your long iron or with your wood club attack the pin for an outside chance of an albatross. I'm not gonna sit here and say that this is going to drop all the time, but like quite the opposite. This is going to drop very rarely. But as always, I do want to at least provide the playthrough so you can give yourself an idea on how to attack the albatross if you do have the balls to go for it. So I'm using the backbone. In this case, I'm playing max plus 10. If I would be playing with a wood club, I would be playing with the Guardian because of its backspin. And then I would be playing that one through club distance, or whatever distance I would be in between medium and maximum distance normally, plus 10. And you can see that we're missing with a good one green square to the left, which obviously is not ultimate, but at least it's an idea on how to attack it for an albatross. So if you do want to play conservative and your only focus is an eagle, basically the same as hole number 3, then we lay up on the very first fairway before all the water and the rough. And then from there, we're moving over to the right fairway on the top right, and we're using then our big dog, or we're using a cataclysm if we do have that one unlocked, because we do want to have a lot of curl. And then we're gonna use somewhere between 4 to 6 bars of topspin, all the left spin we can, and all the left curl we can, and try to bounce ourselves over to be close to green. Even though that is a conservative way of playing, that's still a very difficult route to lock in the eagle. So you will see a lot of players making a birdie here, and there will be very few albatrosses. Hole number 6, we're gonna go down the right hand side, and here I'm using a power 1 ball. You don't really need anything else here. Obviously you can play with more of the finer balls if we would like to do with that, but I think as the Waterfield Sands doesn't really allow us to play with more of the lower level balls, I think this is a very welcome surprise here on hole number 6. Max plus 10. And once again, the goal is to get the ball as far down the fairway possible here. Now you can see I'm going a little bit shorter than intended, but that's actually not a bad idea that either. Because now the second shot, we're gonna be able to play our sniper. We're gonna be very close to minimum distance, but it's gonna be somewhere between minimum and medium distance always. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna use this little line that you can find in the rough. That is where the blue ring is now approximately. So I'm gonna be left of that and use right spin and get the ball to bounce in the rough and roll up to the green. And the reason I'm gonna do that with a rough bump here is because it doesn't really allow me to go with backspin on the beginning of the green. It will be very difficult to get any consistency with that. 10% elevation, true club distance and number. A perfect ball it is. And it's gonna bounce into the rough, roll up the green, and we're so close, just being a little bit under adjusted on this shot. Hole 6, in my opinion, offers a good chance for an eagle. On Waterfield Sands, hole number 7. This is a par 3 which looks really weird, but it's actually not as difficult as it looks. And the reason for that is that playing on the right side or the left side, the fairway is somewhat sloped a little, which will push the ball towards the pin. It's going to be, however, a very difficult one to get the correct speed. But once you have found the correct speed, it's going to be a good chance for an hole-in-one. Here I'm playing from the min line, and I want to play with minimum distance with a 20% over adjustment, all the side spin that I can, and also a little bit of top spin. Outside wall left curl, which, yeah, the curl will be so dependent on what wind direction we do have off tee. Because the curl here is, if we cannot use a side spin 4 or a side spin 5 ball, the curl is going to be a necessary part on every wind direction we have when it comes to playing from the front tee on hole number 7. So the outside wall curl is a little bit too much, but you can see that the speed was good. Now it's only to correct the curl by using a little bit less, and then we do have a good chance for an hole-in-one. Hole number 8 offers a good chance for an eagle, in my opinion. It's still a tricky par 4, so it's not something that comes for free. Play with a power 3 ball here, so we can reach in an easier way to the fairway island on the right. If you do have a headwind, it's going to require you go with overpower, or if you play with a power 4 or power 5 ball, that won't be anything that is necessary. Couple of topspin bars to right spin, and I'm going to make an adjustment of maximum distance with a 20% over adjustment here. Center the ball and hit perfect. The goal is to bounce on the fairway over the rough, but to stay before the second rough line. Bounce on the fairway over the rough, and it lands nicely, and we are in perfect position for the second shot. Second shot, we play with a long iron from a distance. Even though this shot looked like uphill, I would rather see us playing it with a 10% downhill elevation. The reason for that is that we want to use that extra elevation to cater to the wind push that we're going to have, which is pretty severe on this par 4. Leave the ball guideline short of pin if you do not have a fully developed ball guideline. Here, obviously, playing with a Grizzly level 7 or better is going to be a major advantage, because you do then have 4.5 ball guideline. True club distance, so it's going to be somewhere between medium and maximum distance of your club with a 10% elevation. Hit perfect, and you're going to have a good chance for a drop. Bounces nicely on the fairway up towards the pin, and we're getting it there. Nah, not really dead center, but it's still a drop, and that's all that counts. On hole number 9, now our focus should be to get over the fairway on the left. You can either use a club with a lot of power and bounce to the very far end of the fairway, which will then allow you to play with a long iron towards the pin, or that you do lay up shorter, and then you will see yourself having a wood club towards the pin. It's somewhat up to you to decide which way you want to go, but I would say if you do have a headwind, I would consider to lay up the shorter way, because that will require the least amount of technical stuff regarding the drive. But if we do have a tailwind or a crosswind, I would recommend to bounce over the rough patch there and land it on the fairway on the top there, and give yourself an easier chance for an albatross. Because if you are looking at the other par 5s of the Waterfield Sands, you will notice that this hole plays insane, like an insane amount more easier than the other two. So the albatross here is most definitely in play. If you do lay up short, then we do have a sniper towards the pin. And here, obviously, the higher level you have on your sniper, the more power you have, which is going to be better. Headwind needs to have the ball guideline through the hole a decent amount. And the reason for that is obviously otherwise we will fall short, which I unfortunately will do in the video. What also needs to be said about this is that if you come in too hot, there is a risk that you do roll further down the green, and if you do that, you could put yourself in a position where you do have an impossible putt, as we used to call it, which means that even if you go max overpower, you will still not reach. Adjustment 10% elevation, true club distance. So in this instance, I'm playing max numbers, but in the video, I'm not playing 10%. I'm playing this one 0%, which is the reason why I'm coming short. And you can see here now that there's two things. We are not adjusting properly, but also we're not having the ball guideline through the hole enough to allow the ball to roll towards the pin. So again, this par 5 offers different ways of attacking the pin, at least by explanation. So either a long iron or a wood club. And the only thing to have in mind, though, if we go back to the drive, not the only thing, but one of the things to have in mind is to make sure to play with a driver that gives you enough power. It's a little bit too hefty of me to go with a quarterback, which do not really have that much power, even though it has a good accuracy and a good ball guideline. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching this playthrough for Rookie Division with various wins for the Michigan Lynx tournament here in Golf Clash the game. Make sure to scan the QR code there on the screen or go directly to patreon.com/golfclashtommy for tour and tournament guides. So start improving your game from today. Thank you once again for watching. Good luck in your Golf Clash game.